Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how
He's alive!
Welcome to where the weird ones are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run! Run home and cry to mama!
Let's get weird.
Natasha from Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy, and you're listening to Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that, and if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with Mr. Ron Morehead. He's the producer of the Sierra Sounds. He's been researching Bigfoot for decades now, since the 70s. And he was gracious enough to bless us with his presence tonight. Now, I will say that today's episode is a little short. Ron had injured himself, and I didn't want to. I just felt bad making him sit for too long. So, but he gave us some, great insight into his research, and his books, and how his frame of mind works when dealing with the Bigfoot Sasquatch phenomenon. Um, Great guy, such a sweetheart of a man. I really enjoyed talking with him. I enjoyed getting to meet him twice now, both times at Encounter Quest in North Carolina, and such a gracious person. And I feel extremely blessed to have been able to sit down and chat with him one on one. So it was it was a great experience. Not only meeting him in person, but to have him here, telling us some interesting stories. We get into the encounter of the that surrounds the Sierra Sounds and all that, so that was pretty cool. Um, but yes, go check out his books. We have Voices of the Wilderness, Ron Morehead book. I believe this was his first one. And then we have The Quantum Bigfoot by which is his second book, and his latest book that he, discusses tonight is Bigfoot Unveiled, and that's the name of today's episode. So, um, Scientific Answers to Bigfoot Mysteries by Ron Morehead, foreword by David Politis. So, Ron's a great guy, super articulate in the way he speaks and the way he thinks. So it was amazing to have him here tonight. Now, I will say, if you were looking to flavor up your food on the grill, on the stove, whatever, wherever, I highly recommend you get yourself some raw garlic dust, some Bigfoot breath by Flavors of the Forest. They're out of Oregon. Freeze dry the garlic, and they create this really extremely potent garlic dust, and it's phenomenal. I can't recommend this more than enough. I can't say anything highly enough about it because it's so good. It's 10 times better than the shit you get at the store. So I promise you, go check them out. Flavorsforest.com. You can follow them on Instagram, Flavors Forest. The Nelson, who's he's a chef. he does a lot of interesting cooks with their dust, and they discuss that and stuff like that. So both Matt and Nelson are both phenomenal guys. Happy to be a part of representing their brand. So they also have ginger, and they have a spicy garlic dust too, so go check that shit out. The garlic dust is in the hot sauce, and once I get some ginger, that ginger will also be in the hot sauce. So check them out, man. Check them out. Also, next weekend I will be in Canton, Ohio at Monster Fest 2. If you're in the area and you happen to be there, maybe we'll run into each other. I believe it's $25 a ticket. Kids are free. I believe under 12 though, or maybe even younger. I can't remember. But I'm not going to be vending or anything like that. I'm just going to be there. I'm just going to bless the place with my presence at the Doubletree by Hilton in downtown Canton. So if you're there, I'm going to see you. But also, I will say this too. I was at the time this you guys hear this and see this, I will have already been to the Conjuring House. I haven't been there yet, but I will have been. So hopefully you guys had joined the live on Instagram with Beyond the Shadows and Tales, Trails, and Tavern. If not, I am planning on making a video. So hopefully all the video aspects go well, and the video about the investigation at the Conjuring House will go up on my website. Now, talking about the website, um, I am writing a story on there, fictional story that follows a young man through his survival of a zombie apocalypse. So if you're interested in that, a new chapter drops every Sunday. So check that out. Um, hope you guys enjoy it. Just trying to break the dust off of writing. So, anywho, if you like today's episode or any of my other episodes, please like, follow, share, subscribe, leave a rating and a review. I would greatly appreciate it. You can leave a rating and review on the website where the weird ones are, podcast.com. You can also get the hot sauce there. You can get the story, the blog, Geeks in the Streets. You can get the merch there as well. And hopefully, if everything goes right, you will get a video of the investigation at the Conjuring House. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you enjoy this episode. Ron's a great guy. Again, very articulate, and he cares about the research that he does very much so. So, I highly recommend his books. Go check them out. They are on my list to read. So hopefully, I'm currently reading Bobby Shu's book right now, which is pretty decent. If you guys are interested in like reincarnation stories and stuff like that, it's a good one. It's called oh shit, what is it called? The New Norm. There we go. It's called The New Norm by Bobby Shu. So check that out. And that's about all I got to say. So let's get into today's episode with Mr. Ron Morehead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird! Let's get weird! Let's get weird! Let's get weird! Weird, get weird!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. So happy to have you here. Today I have author and adventurist renowned researcher and experiencer. He's the producer of the Sierra Sounds and known for decades for his worldwide research into the Bigfoot Sasquatch phenomenon. And to date, he's the closest researcher to having a complete body of evidence. His name is Ron Morehead. Ron, how's it going tonight?
Hey, Kevin.
Thank you for being here.
Going great. How you doing this evening?
Fantastic.
Good to be with you.
Fantastic. I'm happy to have you here. I met you twice, both times at Encounter Quest. You meet hundreds of people, so I'm sure you don't remember meeting me, but so that's not obviously not something that I expect you to remember anyways. So, but I brought my son to meet you the second time I met you, and I got your complete body of work, all of your books, and the CD that you had with you this year in April. So definitely gonna be checking those out. There's so many books for all these researchers and stuff, and I want to read them all at the same time, but you know, you got to do one at a time.
Did you get my most recent one, Bigfoot Unveiled?
Yep, yeah, I have that one.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyways, thank you for being here. You know, time is like our greatest currency right now, and the fact that you're here with me tonight is I'm super grateful for.
Thank you. My honor.
Thank you. So,
choked on a piece of chicken a while ago, so excuse my throat.
So Ron, first question I wanted to ask you tonight was, like, what got you started in the Bigfoot research? Because I know, it didn't. Was it were the Sierra Sounds the first thing that happened, or were there other things before that?
No, that was the first thing that happened. It was a hunting camp, actually, and these things started coming around the camp, and I was part of the hunting group, became part of the hunting group, and anyways, about 8 miles in the wilderness, 8,400 feet in elevation in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, and yeah, it was quite an adventure. So that's what got me into it. Nobody was looking for a Bigfoot, wasn't on anybody's radar screen or nothing like that. It was a hunting camp, and so I got these things started coming around making rowdy sounds at night, and we ended up going back and taking tape recorders and started recording their sounds. And it wasn't until 1972 when we brought Dallin Berry in, who was an investigative reporter, and he was recording them too, but he thought somebody was trying to pull his leg. He thought it had to be a hoax. Nothing like this happens to people, right? We didn't realize how significant it was. He did, and he fostered the sound studies at the University of Wyoming to make sure the tapes were genuine. There was no 60-cycle hum. There was not any speeded up or slowed down of the tapes. They were all genuine. That was a sound engineer, a PhD in electrical engineering, Dr. Curlin, University of Wyoming. And in 2008, a cryptolinguist named Scott Nelson heard him by accident, and he came all the way up from Missouri just to interview us. And he said, I gotta study these. Would you let me? And so we let him. And he said that he came back and said these things have a language, and that's what his job was in the Navy. He's a two-time graduate of the Foreign Language Institute in Monterey, California, and I had him vetted quite thoroughly. He's a pretty unique guy with the kind of hearing that you have to listen to codes or unknown sounds and see if it's a language. If it is a language, transcribe it and try to figure it out. So that was his job in the Navy. He retired from that and was teaching foreign languages in Missouri when he heard these sounds by accident. So he said they have a language by the human definition of language, which means a sapient sentence. They talk in words like we're talking now. And that's pretty unique. Which we knew they were. Even like Albert Osman said when he was kidnapped up in Canada, he said these things were chattering amongst themselves, talking to each other. That's in John Green's book, Apes Among Us. And anyway, that's where it sit for a while until I realized, well, wait a minute, these things have a language. I started realizing how important language was, and I started researching everywhere. And language is unique to just humans. That's kind of a ball to throw right there, because if only humans have the ability for language like we're doing now, and these things have that puts a human component in them. And I just got a whole chapter on that in my new book on how that has to be. You got Dr. Philip Lieberman, a cognitive researcher at Brown University, who passed away now, but he said only humans have the hyoid bone, which is connected with the tongue, the nervous system into the brain to say what you're seeing, what you're talking about. Now, everything communicates, but not with spoken language, with morphine streams like we're doing now. So that makes a big jump, I think, because I can definitely say I think what we're dealing with up there has a human component. You got Dr. Curlin said it represented something 8 foot tall, and that's compared to the human vocal mechanism. So you got something 8 foot tall talking a language, and you got another professor saying only humans can talk. Well, kind of puts it together for me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've traveled quite a bit around the world in my 50 years of researching this. Didn't have any idea how unique it was until I started doing this stuff. And it's gained quite a bit of ground since 1971 when this started with us.
Yeah, I'd say so. I would say so. And now, if you don't mind, if you just walking everybody through the experience with the Sierra that is associated with the Sierra sounds.
I'm sorry, I'm barely hearing you, Kevin.
If you don't mind, sorry, I'll get really close to the microphone.
There you go.
If you don't mind, Ron, just walking everybody through that experience that you had on the hunting trip there with where you recorded the Sierra sounds.
Well, it wasn't just one. We had several events happen to us at the same camp.
Oh, okay.
It started for me in 1971 when the Johnson brothers, who have been hunting that camp since 1958, they went up early that summer, and they had these things come around making some real rowdy sounds, and they realized it wasn't a bear, and they went out later and saw this huge footprint, and they came out and told the other guys. There was 5 of them all together. I made the 6th one when I got part of the group. And the other guy saw, it has to be a bear or something. I'll go back up and see if they're still around. So they all went back up, and one of the guys, these things came back in and the camp at night, and this one guy got so scared he was just almost ready to fake out on everybody. In fact, the first thing, as soon as daylight came, he left him a note and said, "I'm out of here." Very religious. He didn't know where to put that in his paradigm. Giants aren't supposed to be around anymore nowadays, but these things were real aggressive sounding. And anyway, the guys didn't come out when they were supposed to the next day, and this guy went back to tell the wives, what the Johnson brothers said is true. There's some kind of a monster up there. So anyway, they said, well, you got to go back and see what's going on with these guys. They might have got eaten or something. They don't know what they're dealing with. And he said, I'm not going back by myself. And I was friends with him, so he said, well, you come with me, I'll go. So we both trekked up there, and that was quite a job walking in there. I thought I was in good shape, but when you leave the valley floor, 100 feet elevation, and go up to 10,000 feet walking, packing and hiking, because we hiked in, him and I. But he's like a mule. He was really in shape for that high altitude, but I wasn't. Thank goodness one of the guys had a horse. I got to ride him out when we got up there, because they were ready to come out by the time we got there. So that's kind of how it got started with me. And since then, I've been traveling pretty much worldwide, Peru and Siberia, been into Russia, been into Nepal, and different places, just checking stuff out, see how it compares with what we ran into. And studied a lot about the Fred Beck story and the Albert Ostman story, from years ago, 100 years ago almost now. Wow, what time flies, yeah. And, it's, but you read those accounts, and it's kind of swayed me. The whole Bigfoot thing has taken me to another level of thinking. I fully believe the only reason we encountered these things was so I could do what I'm doing tonight with you and talk about it, and how it's taken me around the loop. It's just, if these things have a human component like us, we need to figure out what we are as humans and why we're here and stuff like that. So I was raised religiously, but I'm not religious anymore. I'm very spiritual, like we all are, whether we like it or not. And, according to, it got me into quantum physics because there's so many strange anomalies happened up there. We couldn't answer them with Newtonian physics with our regular thinking. It just wasn't working. So Al Berry, who we took up in 1972, who fostered the studies like I mentioned, he had a master's degree in science, and he says, don't talk about the strange stuff up here. No one's going to believe you. And so we didn't for a long time, but I do openly now because more and more people are experiencing it, and I think it needs to be said. I'm in my 80s now, and, I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. The facts and the science I've got behind these sounds that we've captured speaks for themselves. And that's how I got started, and I've been working on it ever since.
Yeah.
So
and it's been an amazing journey to watch, to be honest with you. So many people love, your work. And the more people that I talk to in this field, they always, especially like Bigfoot experiencers or other Bigfoot researchers, they always bring you up and the Sierra Sounds up and everything like that, like just your work alone. And I love listening to you talk about the quantum physics that you think that in your opinion has to do with
see if I
Bigfoot,
can
which
do something about this
I'm
earplug. Okay. There.
yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
better. Stuck it further in my ear. Sorry, Kevin.
It's okay, Ron. It's all right. Yeah, no, I was just explaining that I love listening to you talk about the quantum physics when it comes to Bigfoot because I think that's the most plausible thing, to be honest. People talk about interdimensional and stuff like that, and you are are you a physics scientist?
I'm a citizen scientist. I guess I call it a citizen scientist.
Citizen science.
I'm self-learned with that. But it forces you to learn what it does, because you got to figure out everything. If it's a problem, it's got an answer.
Yeah.
And we had things happening to us up there that just didn't have an answer. So I think you got to get into quantum physics. I asked a professor over in London. I was over there with him, and I said, "What do you think about quantum physics?" This was 2011, I think it was. He said, "Oh, don't talk to me about quantum physics." He was in academia, but he was in Newtonian physics, which is classical science. 1687, that's when that started. That's what we're all trained in from the 5th grade on, The apple falls, you can measure it all the way down to the ground, But quantum physics isn't like that. However, everything from the atom through the cosmos works on the laws of quantum physics. Just that we live in a three-dimensional environment, and we have to live in the Newtonian physics. However, quantum physics is with us. We just don't see it like we do in our third density. And it's got to be into the study of that. And how do they do what they do? How can they disappear? How do the trackways stop? What does all this stuff mean? How does it happen? And how could it happen? Well, it's taken me all the way back into the, because I started looking in the Bible first, because I was involved in a big church down there at the time, and it's where giants came from and all that, but that didn't get me far enough. I realized how the Bible's been altered by mainly the Roman Catholic Church over the eons or hundreds of years. And so it takes you all the way back to cuneiform texts in Mesopotamia, Sumerians. And you read that's the oldest written language known that we know of. And it talks about the giants that are the fallen angels, I guess you call them, but they call the watchers in the Bible. But it very mimics the first few chapters of Genesis in our Bible. So when you get into the Mesopotamian text, it takes thousands of years, not just a few hundred or a few pages in Genesis, thousands of years. And so these things did come down. They're called shining ones, from the powerful ones from the sky. They came down and started altering the genome of different species on this planet. So that got me wondering, what came first? Was Bigfoot here before we were? And yeah, I believe they were. They were messed around with, just like aliens have been coming here for eons, a whole lot longer than Homo sapiens have been here. Mm-hmm. But if you notice, Bigfoot's not in Darwin's chain of events. No. Something's missing out of Darwin's theory. But yeah, they've made us. The said, "Let us make man in our image." Well, it's called the Anunnaki, and I'm sure you've probably heard that word. Everybody's looked into this. They are the sky people, shiny ones. They created the giants, and so that's kind of mimics what a lot of things in the Bible says. But the Bible has been altered a lot, and I learned that the hard way, because I used to think everything in there's, but no, it's different. It started me off with it said, well, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter heaven, something like that. Well, that's interesting. So I still do a Hebrew translator, and you look for the word for camel in Hebrew, and it's spelled the same as rope, very same spelling. So there, what's easier, for a rope to go through the eye of a needle? That makes more sense. It's more plausible, you know.
Everybody loves a good ghost story. From the renowned haunting of the Amityville Horror House to the lesser-known curse of the Bassano Vase, legends of the ghostly and macabre have been fascinating and frightening us for centuries. But have you ever wondered if there's any truth behind the lore? Over the last 8 years that I've spent as a paranormal researcher, I have constantly asked one important question. Is this a hoax, or could it truly be a haunt? I'm Courtney Hayes, host of the podcast Haunts, where every week I dissect another ghostly legend in an effort to find the truth that lies within. Listen to Haunts for free on your favorite podcasting app and help me to unveil the unknown.
That got me started all the way back into, well, as far as biblical stuff goes, but that gets us off our Bigfoot party we're having here. Talk about Bigfoot. But it has taken me into the ethereal part of humans. There's two parts to humans, our physical body and, according to quantum science, energy, which we're all made of at the most minute level. We are energy vibrating at a frequency. Everything is. You find the frequency of anything and you can change its matter. I think that's how miracles are done. You find the frequency. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. So that's Tesla's saying too. And then then you got Paul Dirac in 1933 won the Nobel Prize for antimatter, and that is the direct exchange between matter and energy. Now, can that happen? Yeah, CERN proved that in 2012 when the Hadron Collider. And so, anyway, that kind of takes it to another level, because energy and matter are interchangeable. Now, can they disappear? If they can find the frequency, you can change matter. So I think somehow they know how to find the frequency. And I believe, just from my experience around them a lot, that they can reach a frequency that is probably the right one to change their matter into energy. And they can go out of your visible perception. See, when we learn the limits of humans, which our eyes only see within 430 and 770 terahertz. That's the frequency of our eyes. That's the frequency of light. That's all we see is what light brings us. Yet there's all these other frequencies out there. There's all these other dimensions out there which we only live in 3. However, you can access them through your system. That's what the masters of old tried to teach us, is how to do that through meditation and how to get a hold of your higher self and understand more. So there's where it's taken me a little bit too, but the Bigfoot thing's what got me here, so I guess we keep talking about that as much as you want to. There's more than one kind.
I'm into all of that because I'm kind of like of the thinking that they're, if you want to go down like a conspiratorial route or whatever the word anybody wants to use for it, like whether it's like a shadow government or a secret society or like Illuminati kind of thing. I kind of I have this feeling, and I don't know if it's just me. I feel like there's other people, but I have this deep-seated feeling that we have been manipulated to the point where we can't see beyond the veil. We only get glimpses, and that's why we can't see Bigfoot. That's what I'm thinking. And the more we raise our vibration in the spiritual realm and stop being so distracted or bickering with one another about this or that, or even bickering about whether Bigfoot is flesh and blood or woo woo, because even though woo woo is such a taboo word for a lot of researchers and stuff, but I think that all of it meshed together kind of is is more plausible to me, in my opinion. I'm not a researcher, but stories and experiences that I've listened to, like, I just, you know what I mean? I don't know if that anything that I'm saying is making sense, but that's just kind of the thought process that I go through. I kind of think that we've been manipulated to the point where we just can't see certain things. And the more that we kind of like raise the consciousness, the collective consciousness, the more we're going to be able to see these things. And I think that's kind of why there's more experiences lately, is because I think we're kind of like starting to do that.
I think you're on the mark, yeah. The woo, the paranormal, all that stuff is answerable by the laws of quantum physics. Quantum physics is not the woo. It's not paranormal. It's just something we don't understand. And once you understand quantum physics a little bit, you will understand how those things happen. Can they disappear? They go out of our perception. Do they go into another dimension? I've had a lot of people report to me they've seen a pixelization form from Bigfoot just pixelize out. And I heard that years ago, and I've heard it several times since, and people that are credible. So there has to be an answer to that, and you get right into it, and it's a direct exchange between matter and energy. They are interchangeable, and that's how they disappear. Are they going out into another dimension? Possibly. However, I got to say this, they're not all the same. All these things, I think they've been here longer than Homo sapiens, and a lot of them have diluted down, that's how I put it, from crossbreeding with indigenous people. So more of them are more human-like. I think that's what the Patterson film represents, is a more human-like. And most of them running around that people are seeing are more human-like. The footprints represent that. I've seen prints from all over the world, and I know our prints were different than the Patterson's prints. And they're more splayed, they're flat, and they got 5 big toes right out in front. Where the Patterson is more human-shaped. It's more like our feet, like he's wearing shoes all your life or something. I don't think Patty was wearing shoes. Anyway, yeah, they're not all the same. Geneticists who came back and said that their mitochondrial DNA is part human. They're all getting vindicated right now because I'm vindicating them. These things are part human, and I think I've established that in my new book, and I got a whole chapter on that, chapter on a lot of things. Hybridization, there's a hybridization program going on. Aliens have been coming in for eons. So you couldn't talk like this 10, 15 years ago at all. We've been putting a funny farm, so.
I was just, you would be thrown into the loony bin.
Yep.
And sedated.
But it's fun. I don't care. I say what I think, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, and that's,
you can either take it or leave it,
Right, and I feel like that's the way, everybody should be. And that's kind of like, real quick though, like that's the reason why I started my podcast, was to have conversations with people that feel like talking to just regular, normal, everyday people that, if they tell their story, they're all going to think they're crazy. And I just want them to be able to have like this safe place, I guess, to be able to express their thoughts.
Good.
And stuff.
Yeah, I think because I've come out in the open too, a lot of other people are telling me, I had that happen to me. They might hear their dog's name called out in the woods when they're out there and their dog's not with them. Because these things can mimic anything. They got a voice that's so much more complex than ours. We don't even know the limits of what frequencies they can get into. But I know they're outside the human range, or inside the human range, they're above it, below. I'm fairly sure they can work in it with infrasound. And probably ultrasound too. And according to Dr. Curlin, he got a graph in the book that he wrote, the paper they wrote, put in a series of, it's called Man Like Monsters on Trial, UBC Press, made that in 1980 after he gave a presentation at the Anthropology of the Unknown at British Columbia. And it's quite remarkable. We thought that was a big step, but you still can't get academia, a lot of them, to change their mind. It has to be an ape in the woods. And if it just, they can be flesh and blood when they're in our third density environment like we are right now. They can be shot, they eat, they poop, they procreate, they do all that stuff. But can they be more? Nothing's just flesh and blood. No, nothing is.
We're not even just flesh and blood.
No, we're not. And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
We got the ethereal part of us, which goes on because it can't die. It's energy or spirit, let's put it that way. That's where a lot of religious people say, okay, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. Well, that's who you really are. We're just carrying around a body right now. It's going to pass away. And don't tell us how many of these bodies we've had over the years of time. I think if you haven't learned everything you got to learn in one lifetime, you're going to have to learn it somewhere. You got to learn how to treat everything, all your experiences here, because that's all life is about, is experiences. Lord knows I've had a lot of experiences, more than most people. And really, how you handle experiences and how you handle things is what it's all about. Responding to your experiences that you've got going on in your life every day. You learn to respond to those things with love and compassion. You're elevating yourself, your own personal frequency. Until you learn that, you got to learn it. That's just all there is to it. If you die before you learn it, you got to learn it somewhere, somehow. You got to learn it.
Absolutely. I always say that I think the whole purpose of life is to feel, experience, and give love.
Very good.
I think that's what it's all about.
Well, we're very special. The human race is very special.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we all underestimate who we are as human beings from this planet, the image of what we're made of, very high frequential being. And the gods of different gods, you read about these gods, and different Hebrew mythology and Greek mythology and all those back in there, and just really, really interesting stuff. But they were all they all had the power to manipulate the genome of species. That's why I think there's a hybridization program going. I think they either acclimate their species to this planet through hybridization, but I'm sure there's been, I'll tell us how many different types of aliens on this planet in the eons past. This planet's been here a long, long time. Yet I've run across some religious people that say, it's only been here 6,000 years. That's hard. That's always been hard for me to swallow. This planet's only been here 6,000 years? Really?
Yeah. And they keep having archaeological digs, and then they're like, oh wait, I think the Earth might be a little bit older than that. And then it's like every 5 years or so, they're like, I think the Earth is a little bit older. We just found this certain kind of rock or something like that,
They're talking about the Big Bang, 12 billion years ago, something like that. But now this new telescope they got out there are finding not solar systems, but galaxies bigger than this one. They've been here longer.
Really?
So that throws the whole ball game out. They got to rewrite books. And that's the trouble, because I think our government knows about Bigfoot. They know about aliens. They know about all this stuff. They're only going to give us what they think that we can handle. So they're giving us the aliens. They confess that Roswell was not a weather balloon, and they confess that there's some of them been here for a while, and some want to help us, some want the Earth for themselves, so they're working against us, and that's the negative part of the fallen ones. That's the influence we have. We're a warring species, so we have to get out of that. But the good ones are out there, and they're trying to help us too. So we have to all raise the vibration we have. The Earth, I think, is trying to raise its vibration to the Schumann resonance of 7.83 hertz, and it's climbing. It's trying to get out of the third dimension itself. We have to go with it. I keep jabbering, so Kevin, just horn in there and ask me some questions. I'll get carried away. The time will be up. Being careful.
So going back to like the infrasound of Bigfoot and whatnot, and people just saying, oh, it's not, if they don't have infrasound, they're just an ape in the woods and whatever and whatnot. But there's researchers that like zoologists that have found that gorillas actually have infrasound, and they use it on their females, and then elephants have infrasound. So the fact that Bigfoot having infrasound it makes it more, evident to me that when these people have these experiences of the infrasound, like I think that is absolutely in the realm of possibility, for sure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Warren Johnson and I were up there at camp one time, and this thing was mouthing off outside our camp, which they would do. We thought, well, we'd get kind of bold then because they hadn't eaten us yet, and we were safe. We thought, they were just messing with us. So we thought we'd jump out the doorway right quick and walk up towards where this one had to be behind this huge tree. We got within a few feet of the tree and we both just got stung. I mean, just stopped like a force field in Star Trek. I write about that in my first book, Voices in the Wilderness. And he looked at me. We weren't talking to each other, and we were just zapped. Couldn't go through. It's like couldn't go forward. Now that infrasound. You can't hear infrasound, but it definitely affects you. And I told that to a scientist one time, and he thought it was our fear that stopped us. I said, no, we weren't afraid. Believe me, we were getting kind of comfortable around these things. And he said, well, then it had to be pheromones or infrasound. Well, at that time, pheromones only works within the same species, so I thought, well, it has to be infrasound. I still stick with infrasound because it happened to me another time up there in the woods. I was out walking along, wasn't thinking about anything, and all of a sudden I got froze. I look around, didn't see a thing, but then that doesn't mean much because these things can be all around you. And if they can cloak out of our visual range of sight, you won't see them. I've only seen one up there, and my daughter saw 3. There's been times when you get glimpses of them, but it's just, you think as close as they were to us, and I mean they were extremely close at times, we would have got better sighting of them. But I think they could. Wasn't looking for stuff like this at the time. People say, well, were there any wood structures up there? Were there da-da-da? Well, we weren't looking for that. We were hunters. We'd go up there and have a good time. It's a really nice place. Once you get there, it's hard to get there, but once you get there, it's really fun. It's really, really good.
Hello guys, and welcome to Let's Talk About.
My name's Liam.
And my name's Billy.
And on this podcast we have absolutely no limits whatsoever.
Genuinely, no topic is off limits for us.
We speak about ghosts, aliens, supernatural, and much more.
We want to get you guys involved as much as possible with our podcast journey. Every Sunday we'll have a brand new episode, and we'll even let you guys decide on some of those episodes or what happens in them.
So far we've spoken about ghosts, aliens, zombies, and even a talking mongoose.
Can't be the talking mongoose. Follow and subscribe to Let's Talk About.
Good. So anyway, yeah, I think they've probably been around us a lot more. There's things around us right now we don't see.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If we knew what was always around. Some people can see energy, and you can work on that because you can read auras up on people, the energy that they put out, and that's kind of documented now. If you can, we all got to learn how to bring those abilities that we have out so we can use them more. And that's where I get into the pineal gland up in your head. It's a receptor. It's connected to the heart. The heart has a brain. The heart is very important. It's more important than your brain, really. That's hard to imagine, but the heart has to be in coherence. The heart has to be in coherence with your conditioned thing on your shoulders. We've all been conditioned to think a certain way, to believe this is wrong, that's right, this is wrong. We've all been conditioned in certain religions and certain things, and you got to get out of that to ever accept the laws of quantum physics are really at work, and they are. It's like a parachute. If it don't open, it's not much good. You got to treat your mind like that.
Absolutely.
That sudden, the fall won't hurt you. It's that sudden stop that gets you.
Right. Absolutely. And then I also wanted to get your your perspective on, do you think, so a lot of encounters, people are, afraid and fearful, like that they're going to be attacked and whatnot. I don't think I've ever heard a encounter or experience where, a Bigfoot had actually attacked or anything. So do you think that when these encounters happen, do you think they're just letting them know to get away? What are your opinions on that?
Well, I think fear is your enemy, and if you like I say, we got over the fear, because once you get past the fear, fear is just not knowing something. Because you don't, you're going to fear it if you don't know it. I think fear is something very, very important for people to learn how to handle that within their own self, especially if they're researching out in the woods. But some of these things are like I said earlier, they're not all the same. Some of them can be malicious. And I was up in Portlock, Alaska, with a filming crew here a couple of years back, the Alaska killer Bigfoot, and they claimed that a Bigfoot-like creature was mangling their villagers. In fact, it's a documented report. You can see in the newspaper in the late 1940s. That's how long ago it was. And these locals, the heirs, wanted to rehabilitate this village called Portlock, and they wanted to know if it was safe to go back in there. They wanted me to tell them. No pressure here. But when they took me in there on the helicopter, I flew over it before we landed. I noticed they had timbered it a lot earlier, a long, long time ago. I'd seen the new growth up there. And then they were also, I found out from the pictures that I saw of the place, they were overfishing it. I mean, the fishing was just fantastic there. They're also mining there. You put all that together, and I think what they were doing is just encroaching in this area where these things were habituating, where these things lived. And I imagine if one would have came out of the woods and started screaming at them for cutting their trees down or something, they'd have probably shot at it. And if they shot at it, they probably would have pissed it off, and it would have tore their arms off or something. That's what was happening. They was finding mangled villagers. So they all just evacuated the village in the late 40s, around 1950 actually. And so that was an interesting trip. But I said, well, if you really want to get somewhere with these things, respect it, respect the land, respect the trees, respect the property, because they live there too. And so I stopped hunting years ago because I don't like to kill anything. I don't like to cut a tree down or nothing like that. In fact, I don't, because I think trees are very, very important to these things. I've had more reports over the years. I got a whole chapter in my new book about the reports I've found about people seeing these things when they're cutting trees, especially the clear cutting that goes on. That's horrible. And yet we're doing it for what? Furniture, firewood, houses, stuff that we really shouldn't need. We need to be more like they are.
Yes.
Well, I've taken a shower more often probably than that. So
yeah, probably take a shower more often than that as well. Yeah, I think we've lost connection with the earth, and that's why you know
absolutely,
that's why we can't see these a lot of things. And like you said, it's the pineal gland. I think we've been dulled down so much over the years.
Well, we calcify it too with the diets that we've been forced to eat. We're eating genetically modified food. Well, I'm not. We eat just unmodified food, and we're very careful what we eat here because it does calcify your pineal gland, and your pineal gland is crystallization around almost everything is fascia, around your muscles and all that stuff. So it's important to take care of yourself and meditate and learn what you're all about, just how much ability you really have. I wish I could walk on water, but I haven't been able to do that yet. I get wet every time I try. I can't turn water into wine. I wish I could do that right now.
I wish I could do that right now too. I have a glass of water. I could just do that, and it'd be wine. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway, it's fun. It's been a fun adventure for me. I'm in my 80s now, and I about ready to hang up going to these conferences and stuff because it's just a lot of traveling. I'm supposed to head out to California here next week, but I'm I'm backing out of that.
Are you?
Well, I got a lot of relatives out there too I wanted to see, but things happen.
Yeah.
I had a fall, broke my tailbone, but I don't make it feel too good sitting around. Airplane for 5-6 hours.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Sorry to hear that.
Oh, I shouldn't even have said it. I'm sorry I said it. I shouldn't have said it.
No, it's totally fine. It's I mean, now I feel bad for making you sit down. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna make you sit down longer now that I know that. No. Yeah, so I started going to conventions and it's a lot,
It is a lot.
and I don't vend for books or, do talks or anything. I mean, I will be doing, I got 2 conventions coming up in September and October that I'll be speaking at, but, you've been, such a monument for this, field. And I just feel like everybody wants you there. So and then a lot of these conventions are happening all at the same weekend, and they're all probably like, "Hey Ron, hey Ron, hey Ron,"
They usually
can
get
you
a hold of me
speak
about a
here?
year ahead of time, and I haven't been
Well, that
taking any. I
makes
haven't been
sense.
taking any for 25. I've been asked a few times already, but
Yeah.
they got to catch you early, or you'll be scheduled up. But I've only got a couple more this year, and then I'm gonna slow down. I don't mind being there. It's a lot of work being there, but going there is worse than being there. I like seeing the people. I like talking. I like spreading what I think is right around. Talking how I talk, and as long as I can keep doing that, I want to do it on podcasts like this with you and others that do this, and that I can still get my word out that way without having to do all the transferring from Atlanta to airport. Atlanta, you ever been to Atlanta airport?
I have never actually. I've never been in a plane, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, okay, never mind then. It's hard to get a direct flight out of here where I'm at, North Carolina, all the way to Oregon and Washington. Either way, it takes up your whole day. We have to drive an hour just to get to the airport, then you got to park, you got to go through security. I used to have my own airplane, and I'd fly to a lot of places in the United States myself. And
oh, wow.
I would just do it on my own dime, which I don't do that anymore. I don't have an airplane anymore. I sold to a guy in Russia, one it worse than I did. Then he crashed it. Oh, God. Oh, well.
No. That's terrible. But so what is the next convention that you're gonna be present at?
I think another page of my. It's in.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I'm trying. Well, I should have had that out. Got too much stuff on my calendar. I know I got one in. I want to say it's not Vermont, but it's. Oh gosh, I can't think of it right now.
That's all right.
I cleared off the remainder of June and July for the trip I thought I was going to be in California and Oregon and Washington, doing a trek all the way down through there.
Yeah.
And didn't take on anything, but I had to cancel the one that was actually taking me out there. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I might be on a plane for the first time ever because my sponsor for the show is in Oregon, and he wants to so they're sponsoring a couple other podcasts like Cryptids of the Corn. I know you know those guys. And they want us all to come out together for like a camping trip in Oregon, and I'm like, well, I'm definitely not driving to Oregon because I'm in Maine. So I'll drive to North Carolina for a convention, but I'm not driving to Oregon. So
long trip. And we moved out here from Washington 3 years ago. I lived in the Olympic Peninsula. A lot of Bigfoot stuff going on there, and drove all the way out here just to move out here. This is where my partner Carrie, her family's out here, so.
She's
like
a lovely lady.
I like the weather here too. Weather's good here. Rains too much in Washington. But my
I've
grandkids
heard
in
that.
California, I got a daughter in Washington, another daughter in Oregon, and a son in Tennessee.
Wow, you guys are all over the place.
Well, I have traveled a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It has just like thinking about it, like going through your all your research and stuff like that. Like it must have been such an amazing journey for you. I mean, I know you stated it already, but um, I thought about the other day. I was like, I wonder what it would be like to be in like just to be in Ron's shoes for a day when he was, you know, doing all this research, traveling
I'd
here
say
and there.
younger.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
well, I didn't want to get old and think, I wish I'd have done that. I wanted to do it, and I figured out a way to it. I was an entrepreneur, made pretty good money in what I was doing, and
mhm.
so I was able to afford to do a lot of stuff that most people couldn't.
Yeah.
So I've had a very fortunate life, a very adventurous life. I've rode manta rays down in southern Mexico waters. I've swam with the
That's
hammerhead
awesome.
sharks. I've been a safety diver for right whales down in Patagonia. I've been Nepal. I've been on the mountains of Nepal. I've been on an elephant for 6 days on a 19-foot restrictor. I got chased by a rhino.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got some people trying to do a documentary on me now, so I shouldn't be talking about myself. It's not a good thing to do. But
What are they, did they already start like the filming process for your
yeah,
documentary? Yep.
yeah,
Do you know like a release date or anything?
I don't.
No.
It's all about
All
money,
right.
and they need money. So
They
they've
need
been filming
funding.
for the last year and a half. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
they're just about to wrap it up though. They wanted to film me some more when I was out in Oregon, but
Uh-huh.
they're not going to have that opportunity. So they may be coming back here to see me. I don't know. They do a good job though. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Good.
trust too many producers because
I
a
don't
lot of
blame
them
you.
just they want to change the narrative to what they want it to sound like.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah. I
that's
believe
what I
that.
liked about the Alaska Killer Bigfoot series. It was an 8-part series. I think I was on 2 parts of it, but they didn't change what I said, and I like that because they were just they let the guys be who they were. It wasn't fake. They do have something going up there even to this day. There's things around there. I
Mhm.
truly believe that, and so they haven't gone back. I told them how to go back. I want to go back. Just go back without the filming crew. Just go back with three guys or so, maybe 4,
Mhm.
and respect the property, respect the land, and be nice. And don't go shooting around at something you don't understand. Most people want to shoot something they don't understand. And if you don't come back, everybody will know not to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to go. I think I would love to be able to field research for Bigfoot and stuff like that. I think I, I I ever since I started this podcast and talking to people like yourself that actually get out there and do the research, whether it's like you, Alexander Petikoff with Small Town Monsters or the Small Town Monsters crew, just watching all of you guys and listening to you talk about your experiences and being out there makes me want to do it even more because I love nature. I love being outside. I think there's something to that, that connection with the earth, not having your shoes on and stuff like that. I talk about that all the time. I wish I could meditate better. That's my only problem right now. But anyways, getting back onto Bigfoot real quick. There's been sightings of this of a Bigfoot that crawls like a spider. Have you ever heard this
Yeah,
story?
using
Yeah?
all 4s or two
Yeah.
hands. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
quite a bit of that goes on. I think that they have been, like I said, a great ape of some type have been manipulated genome, and they still have some attributes of the great ape. They look like a great ape,
Yeah.
A lot of them do. But they crawl like that, and a lot of times go around like that, so that people see them, they might think they're a bear, because these things, as smart as they are smart. Don't underestimate them, whatever you do. But they're not supposed to interfere with us and what we do. They do interfere because they have free will, like everything does. They interfered with us up there at the camp, but they're not supposed to interfere. And when I was trying to talk to them, my second CD has got that recorded, where I was trying to say something to them, and they were coming back at me with something. I was trying to mimic them, and they were having fun with me, I think. I didn't know that at the time, but they were trying to say something to me, and I don't know what it was. I underestimated them totally. Then we still trying to find that good glimpse of that ape out there, you know. But he couldn't trick them, much as we tried to trick him. He was, if you were that close, you should have got a picture. Anybody that's out there knows it's not that easy. You're not just going to go out there and take a picture. I've had people say, "Oh, get me up there with my camera. I'll get a picture of one of them." Well, yeah, right. I don't think so. Not that easy. Especially if they are cloaking like I theorize they could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with them moving around constantly, like I don't think they ever like actually stay still long enough for you to get a picture that's not blurry. You know?
Yeah, that's why they're blurry, moving so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the one I saw when I saw the night I recorded the Samurai Cry, he was up behind me with, I think it was an adolescent and a mother down by the creek down here. And I saw him shooting down through the trees, and man, he was fast. It's like he's floating too, just inhuman. And that's the first time I really got to see what was making the sounds. And that's quite an evening, I got to tell you. Exciting. Yeah. We was outside the shelter, and it's the first time they ever really interacted with us while we're outside the shelter. Usually they wait till we get inside, and then they start doing stuff. I think they toy with us. Sometimes I think they train their young ones to play with humans, teach them how. And once they're born in this third density, they have to learn how to get out of it, the young ones do. I think they train them. So people are seeing the small ones too, 5, 6 feet tall.
Yeah. Yeah, that I hear a lot of stories of this, like the juveniles or the smaller ones, kind of like just messing with them.
Yeah.
You know, when they come across them and stuff like that, because they're still learning that, you know, what they have to learn, but they obviously, just like any other teenager or whatever, you want to mess around and goof off and stuff like that and scare people, I guess. I mean, if I was a 6-foot strong ape looking thing, I feel like I'd mess with random people walking through the woods as well.
They think that we think we're smarter than them, and we do.
That's true. That's true.
That's the problem. That's our problem, though, because they are more tuned into the woods. And I'm not sure they can all talk like the ones we encountered up there. I don't know what attributes we've given to which ones, but it depends on the agenda. You know, if the draconian aliens have messed with the genome, which they have, they may give them a malicious intent. So we don't know the agenda of all of them. So I caution people just to keep your guard up. I've had some people take my sounds and go out in the woods and blast them, and one guy got charged. You don't know what they're saying. They might be looking for a mate.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That would be, oh my God, that would be terrifying. Oh man, I can't even imagine. But yeah, the Sierra sounds, they're amazing. And Scott said that they were like, I think you said it earlier too in the beginning when you were talking about it, but they're like a couple octaves higher than a human can form, correct?
Yeah, they can do 5 octaves in one tone, and humans can't go but 3. Even throat singers can't do what these things can do. So we still know the limit of what their vocal mechanism will do. That's why I can theorize that they have an ability to find the frequency to change their matter into energy, because they can cloak right out of you. But they do that almost like automatically. They don't have to think about it. We have to figure it out. We have to find the frequency, like the right frequency. You know, if you find the frequency of anything, you change its matter. That's a scientific fact. So just have to find the frequency. That's what the rife energy. That's what Tesla was working on too. Yeah. In fact, he's got a story about he healed Mark Twain of a illness he had with a sound. Sound is everything. Sound is very, 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 very important.
Yes, I agree. But so Ron, that is all the real questions that I had for you tonight.
Time flies never fun, huh?
It sure does. But I wanted you to just, real quick, let everybody know where they can find you, your website and where they can get your books and all that stuff.
My website is ronmorehead.com. Morehead.com. And just order them on there. You can also contact me through my website. And I have 3 books. The one we've been talking about mostly tonight is the Quantum Bigfoot. Excuse my reaching here.
Oh, sorry.
This one here. And my first book was Voices in the Wilderness. That's the one on the stand behind me there. And my newest book is Bigfoot Unveiled. And that's getting a lot of good reviews. It did break my elbow and broke my shoulder too. I can't reach very well.
Oh, no.
Well, heck, it's on my website, the picture of the book. And it's called Bigfoot Unveiled. I get into Tesla's 369, get into dimensions, the manifestation code. I get into AI, artificial intelligence. I think that's a big one we got to watch out for. And several other things that are interesting that are not in the quantum book. But it's kind of a follow-up on quantum theory because everything works in quantum theory. And what one man calls God, another one calls laws of physics. That's Nikola Tesla said that. So they're synonymous. When you get into spirituality, quantum physics will keep you there. Just
really.
A different plane, different density, different vibration. And we're all headed for the 9th dimension.
Yes, I hope so. Well,
that's our goal anyway. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right. But Ron, so I have all 3 of your books, so I will make sure everybody can see them in the intro.
Thank you.
That way you don't have to. I should have said that so you didn't have to try and reach for your for your book.
I usually have them right here, but
yeah,
I was busy at the last minute when I got here. Okay.
But I really appreciate you coming on tonight and giving me, an hour of your time. That means the world to me that you took the time to do this.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate being on with you. It's what I do. It's what I love to do. I just want to get what I think is right out there, mix up what people find. Maybe it'll help somebody in their research. If they don't want to get with it, well, everybody has a choice. Go with it or not, but I encourage everybody to look into quantum physics, look into how things really happen on the face of this planet. It's not all dependent on Newtonian physics. That's just for our 3rd density environment that we're living in.
Yeah, I agree. So, everybody, that is the. Oh, sorry, you got something else to say?
No, I just go like this.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. I just didn't want to cut you off. But everybody, that is the show. Please go check out Ron Morehead if you haven't done already. That would be insane to me if you're into the Bigfoot stuff and you don't know who Ron Morehead is. But please check out his books. I have them. I'll let you all know what I think about them as soon as I read them. And
it's all downloadable. They're all downloadable, by the way.
They're on Audible as well?
No, downloadable. You can download
downloadable. Yeah. So if you want to do that route, do that as well. But like, follow, share, subscribe, leave a rating and review if you feel I deserve one. And you can leave a rating and review on the website as well, wheretheweirdonесarepodcast.com. But anyways, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you, Ron, again. And remember, everybody, question everything and stay weird.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky. When the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day, make a wish.